Hey guys, welcome into the program. First things first, this is VAV Live. I'm your host, Vincent Allen, founder and managing director of VAV Industries. I want to apologize for missing you guys at our regularly scheduled time last week. Has had some family stuff going on, and so wasn't able to come on with y'all. Missed you guys, but we're back tonight. So just wanted to apologize for that and let you know that we was thinking about you. Over my left-hand side, you'll see some video, still from some video that was recently shot by us at a concert. And then we've got the touch screen, as you can see, the touch screen behind us with our website, va-av.com. Please hit us up there. All of our social media handles, which you're watching this on. Please go ahead and comment. Go ahead and Hulk smash, like, and subscribe. And let's just get right down to it. So this week, what I want to talk about, something that's in the news this week, you may have seen. HBO Max is changing its name. It's becoming Max, and the Warner Media has acquired the Discovery and all of their properties, and so that's merging. And so what we wanted to talk about this week was making sure we're maximizing all our streaming opportunities. One of my favorite quotes in technology is from Bill Gates. You may have heard of him. He said 100 years ago now, when he was running Microsoft, like in the 90s, that if you're not on the internet, if your business isn't on the internet, are you really even in business? And those of you who watch regularly probably know, probably have heard me reference the article I wrote for CXO Tech Magazine some months ago. I've referenced it many times. One of the things I say in there is that if you're not live streaming in today's world, are you really in business? And sort of, modifying Bill Gates' quote from all those years ago. And one of the things I want to talk about is this whole HBO Max thing, right? And ultimately, like, most businesses don't rise to the level of getting a program or production on a place like a Netflix or a Paramount Plus or HBO, et cetera. But I think it presents an opportunity to discuss what we're doing from a streaming and internet and technology perspective. We're in this place where we've kind of moved away from the internet, right? Like, the internet initially was nothing more than a bulletin board service that was initially created by the government in the 70s for their operatives to communicate. And then it became so much more, right? But more often than not, people aren't actually interacting on the internet, right? Most of the stuff we do, what we're doing here tonight, is us interacting through a social media mechanism, which, fair enough, exists on the internet, but realistically, we're interacting and operating within these confined walled gardens. Something, before we get into the main subject tonight, something that was interesting to me this week was that the news broke that Elon Musk had collapsed Twitter into X Corp, which is sort of like everything that he owns, right? And the news broke that he was doing that, and that those documents had been filed and like whatever. And it brought back to public attention some quotes that he had put out, years ago now, talking about some business operations in China and some of the social media products over there, where you have like this full life cycle where you've got something that feels very much like Twitter or Facebook. And then you've also got like a PayPal type solution. It's called WeChat, and a text messaging. So all these different kinds of things. So you're doing, payments and web stuff and social media vis-a-vis Twitter, all of this kind of stuff, streaming, potentially, music, streaming or downloading, all in one place. And that he really didn't see that there's being anything like that in the West. All right. Now, some other commentators have talked about, Meta is basically that, you have WhatsApp and Instagram and, the whole metaverse, Facebook, these kinds of things. LinkedIn has a similar kind of thing going on with all of the properties that Microsoft owns and the integration with Microsoft Teams in the back end of LinkedIn, powering chat and, video calling and things like that. So these things do exist, but it was just interesting to me. And then shortly after that, the announcement came down from HBO and Warner Media that they were rebranding as Max, and they released all their new price points and stuff like that. And that's almost unimportant to what I want to discuss tonight. What I want to talk about with y'all is the need to be maximizing our streaming footprint, right? And little pun very much intended. But the deal there, right, is if we're not streaming, what are we doing? Because does anyone really go to websites anymore, right? I can't count the number of businesses that I just know of personally, either in my neighborhood or in the general sort of New York, area where they've got a Zelle set up with their bank, and they've got a Facebook and an Instagram, and like that's kind of it, right? And you text the guy, and he does whatever. A couple of the suits that I wear frequently were made by a business, by a great designer, Drew Breckenberg. If you're interested, hit me up. I'll pass you his details. But he doesn't really have a website. He's on Instagram, and he's got Zelle, and he does great business. He's a phenomenal designer. But what's the point? The point is that with all of these media conglomerates sort of condensing, you have all of this content out there, like all of the things you're going to be able to consume on this new Max platform that's going to be coming out in a month or so. You're going to have all of Discovery Media, so all of your Dr. Pimple Popper and like Ancient Aliens and all of the Discovery Media products, all of that reality stuff, the Duggars and like whatever else, right? Wicked Tuna and all of these, Deadliest Catch, all of those kinds of programs. But then you're also going to have all of this top level, premier level content. HBO has been the premier destination for cinematic, dramatic, comedic, premium cable content for as long as I've been alive, right? And longer, really. They were launched in the 70s. So what's happening is you're taking a top level brand and you're kind of condensing it down and taking away that premium kind of feel and creating sort of a catch-all. We're gonna throw everything at you. You pick your subscription level and you consume what you want to consume. We're seeing Viacom do the very same thing. So Viacom, if you don't know, owns Paramount, and they recently remerged. They used to own CBS many years ago. They separated, and then they came back together recently. But they also own all the MTV properties. They own BET, like I said, Paramount, and just a whole plethora of other things, right? They have a platform, Paramount Plus, which used to be CBS All Access, and then it was another name, and then they eventually settled on Paramount Plus. And they also happen to own Showtime. That is rolling into Paramount Plus as well. So we've got these two competing app ecosystems, with Netflix kind of as the strange outlier that they've always been. And so we're really trying to figure out who's going to live where, and is this going to be an Apple, Microsoft kind of thing, Android, iOS, where I only watch stuff over here, I only watch stuff over there, or is there going to be some sort of an application developed or some sort of a platform at some point where you can just kind of have everything, under one roof, so you're not like jumping from, hey, that's on Paramount, I'm gonna go look at what's on Paramount, and then I want to see what's on Amazon Prime, and then there's that one show I like over on Max, and then I've got NBA League Pass or NFL Sunday Ticket or Hulu, YouTube TV or whatever, and it's not the most user-friendly thing in the world, right? All of that stuff is going to be iterated and updated and changed within the next, I would say, year or 2 years. That stuff is all coming where we'll be able to, and not in like an Apple TV or a Fire TV kind of way, or in a more holistic, everything you've got is in one interface kind of way. That stuff's coming. But that's almost not what's important with this. What is important is for us to understand that if we're in business, right? If we're running a small business, if we're running a large business, if we are a pastor at a church, right? If we are a school that's trying to get the word out about some program, and especially if we are a nonprofit, if we're a local theater group, or if we're a local humanitarian aid group, or someone who's trying to get money and resources into the hands of people who are under-resourced or single mothers, or like whatever the case, right? It is how are we able to drive people to our information, to our content? Used to be, if you lived in a small town, you would put stuff up on the bulletin board in the mall, or you would call the cable company and they'd have a bulletin board station and you would be able to buy time there, or you would buy local ad spots, right? That almost doesn't exist anymore for a couple of reasons. One, no one goes outside anymore, right? No one ever goes outside. We're all inside looking at stuff, working from home or whatever. And to spite, JP Morgan forcing their director level people back into the office this week. Jamie, come on, man. You're killing me, man. Like, let people work how they work most effectively. This constant push to we've got to satiate our real estate investors is just not getting anybody anywhere. And there have been lots of tweets put out this week talking about how you're going to lose talent, and that's absolutely going to happen. We've already talked about that. We'll circle back to that on another episode. But I wanted to talk about business and ministry and creators and whatever. If everyone's eyes are on Paramount Plus, or everyone's eyes are on Max or Amazon Prime, how do we get the eyeballs to places like a YouTube, a Vimeo, a LinkedIn, a Facebook, if everyone's looking at other stuff? Well, the great thing, right? The great thing, opportunity that this presents is if we can create really good content and really dynamic live streams, really dynamic content portfolios, we have the opportunity, we're not there yet, but this is something that Vav is working on, to be able to build apparatus so that you sign into your phone. Like Apple has an application that you have on your iPad and your Mac, ostensibly, called TV. And basically it does that. It'll take whatever apps you've got installed and it'll aggregate the content there in some meaningful way. Now, there are some outliers. Netflix doesn't participate. Some other places don't participate. So you can't aggregate that content. But for the rest of it, you can do that at the 1 or 2 clicks, maybe 3. You're into whatever program you want to watch, and it's all kind of there. But it's, like I said, Netflix doesn't participate. It's kind of hard to get, things like YouTube, Facebook, etc., into that ecosystem. Well, it's something that we are working on, is trying to solve that. But once we have that tech in the marketplace, how great of an opportunity would it be for you to be doing, for Vav's live stream to appear next to Ted Lasso or Handmaid's Tale or the weekly NBA or NFL game that, you're a Giants fan and you have clicked the heart or like or whichever ecosystem. And so it brings up the Giants game or the Lakers game or the Knicks game or whatever. How great would it be for your business content to appear right there next door, right? And then people can go and heart it or favorite it on a LinkedIn, on a YouTube, on a Facebook, on Instagram, right? We're working on that. But it presents another set of challenges, right? So my content appears next to, let's say, Ted Lasso. Everyone loves Ted Lasso, right? Well, I got to be more than just some talking head jackassing into a camera on YouTube then, right? Like, I've got to have better production value, and I've got to have better quality content, good quality sound, great quality lighting, like all of these things. And if I don't, that presents a problem, right? So we've got to learn as a community how to do those things better. So what I propose is that anyone who's interested in that, you reach out to us at Vav and we can coach you into how to do that. This isn't a sales pitch, right? My goal as a thought leader and as a business leader is to increase the quality of content, the amount of people doing this and doing it the right way. Just because somebody, and I know I'm kind of being a little self-deprecating here, but just because some schmuck on YouTube tells you to do something doesn't mean that's right. Most of the people on YouTube don't know what they're talking about, right? Most of the people telling you, oh, if you just do this with this black magic piece of equipment, or you just use this piece of equipment or this camera, most of those people are having those cameras and that equipment provided to them by those companies. It's basically advertising for them. They're not really telling you the whole truth. There's a whole universe worth of gear out there, and it can be hard to know what to use. So what I'm proposing is that anyone who is watching this or sees it back later, and wants to know more about that, wants a little coaching, wants a little mentorship, you reach out to us, and I personally will spend some time with whoever wants it to help them, guide them into doing stuff better, so that as a community, we can move the needle forward on all of the initiatives that we've talked about over the life of this program and over the life of this company, right? But getting back to sort of the Max thing, right? So now this presents a whole universe where instead of seeing all of this premium content in one channel, and then all of this stuff that's like reality driven and like whatever in another channel, and like live sports or talking head, live sports and like talking head at another channel, and news and stuff in another channel, it's all going to be together. All of these things on Max are going to be together. All of these things on Paramount Plus are going to show up next to each other. All of these things on Amazon Prime are going to show up next to each other. So so that presents an opportunity, right? Because now it's not like, oh, I see all of this Emmy Award winning or Oscar Award winning stuff. It's just everything, which means that we can get in on that action. But when we do get in on that action, we don't want to be a bunch of garbage that people are going to look at for 2 minutes and go, this is horrible, I'm cutting it off. We want to increase the production value. We want to increase what we're doing. And so we have to do better, and we have to do better about holding each other accountable for putting garbage out on the internet, right? And as we move into sort of like this internet 2.0 or this internet 2.5, where everything is much more social media, everything is, instead of just the internet, everything is much more VR or AR, and all of these kinds of these digital community building in a way that is more than what we've done in social media, we're going to need to lock arms with one another and support each other and help each other do better, even when there's not a profit to be made. And I think that is the challenge in business, is that if there's not money to be made in doing it, if I'm not going to get credit for it, then we oftentimes don't do it, right? And so how do we do that? Well, it starts by us all being vulnerable and being willing to share our footage and give notes and give feedback and take feedback on constructively. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. I would be happy to answer any emails. You can send me an email at va-av.com. You can go to the website. There's a form up there. You can hit us on social media. I'd love to hear what y'all think. Anyway, this has been Vav Live. Love to hear from you guys. Talk to you again soon.